Okay, welcome back to the Sports Circus Friday edition. The Saturday edition can be found on NBC Sports 920 The Game in the Las Vegas market, or you can stream the show live at thesportscircus.com. This segment is sponsored by the American Business Trust Company, helping companies with investment capital, corporate strategy, sales, marketing strategy. You name it, they do it. Give them a call, 657-600-1876. I've got this wonderful woman in front of me on this, and it's really hard to focus here when I need to focus here. So anyway, that is the segment sponsor, the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Give them a call today for the special Sports Circus discount. Okay, finishing up with the NFL free agency news real quick, because we have a lot to cover in the NCAA, is the Houston Texans. We talked briefly about them shipping off Brock Osweiler over to the Cleveland Browns for a second-round pick and a bunch of money. Also, the Browns expect to release Robert Griffin III, which is really a good move. He's been a disappointment in the NFL on every level. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, they were looking to release Tony Romo. Instead, now they're looking to trade them because of the Brock Osweiler deal. So that basically means that the Cowboys and the Texans are more than likely going to make a trade. That makes sense because they're in two different conferences. They don't compete against each other, maybe for market share, but on the field they really don't for the most part. So that's good news. And I really think that Miami could be in that fold too. They could make Houston pay a little bit more money for Tony Romo because Miami's got a stable full of quarterbacks. And let's face it, they're a bunch of mediocre quarterbacks. And if you could get yourself a good quarterback, I think that's a winner because Dallas is looking for a backup for Dak Prescott. And so I think that Miami has a couple of good serviceable quarterbacks, maybe Matt Moore, that could come in and sit behind Dak Prescott, or they can alternate, maybe create a quarterback controversy. Who knows? Controversies are good for everybody except the players. All right, so the Redskins make a big splash, sign Deshaun Jackson. The Ravens sign nose tackle Brandon Williams to the richest contract of all of nose tackles, 5 years, $54 million. That's crazy for a nose tackle. That's a record. And the Rams. The Rams, they make mistake after mistake. And so the Rams, they let players go without getting much into what the Rams have done. But let's face it, the Rams lose Willie Hayes to Miami. He's a big defensive end. He's a big pass rusher. Another horrific move by the Rams. I could spend 5 hours on the Rams. That's why we call them the Sheep when they were in St. Louis. We call them the St. Louis Sheep. They're just terrible. Just terrible. No offense to my good buddy Jim Everett. Sorry, Jim. The Rams stink. Sorry. So, also, Tennessee signs cornerback Logan Ryan from New England, which we had talked about. New England made a deal in the first segment. And what really startles me is that New England goes and gets rid of a DB, and then they bring a DB in. Maybe they just got a guy for 2 years less, but well, let's face it, New England just paid $65 million over 5 years to a defensive back, and they just got rid of one for $30 million. So there's still $35 million in the hole, as I see it. Jacksonville spends $15 million aside. Cardinals free agent Calais Campbell, 31-year-old, great player, great pass rusher, one of the best in the game. But problem is he's 31, and they set him for 5 years, and he's going to lose a step before he's going to gain a step. The Raiders made no moves. That would be the forthcoming Vegas Raiders. Heard it here first. And actually, you didn't hear it here first. You heard it all over the media, but you heard it on this show and this network first. I've been talking about it for 6 months. Minnesota has allowed Adrian Peterson to go out and talk to the Seattle Seahawks and the Oakland Raiders. So look for Adrian Peterson to make a move. I think he's going to end up going to Seattle. That makes the most sense for him. And finally, we have to talk about Vince Young for just a quick second because Vince Young is making his way back to football. He couldn't take it, or he couldn't take it years ago when he got back in, or when he, let's see if I can spit this out. When he got out of Texas and he went into the NFL, he played very mediocre for the Tennessee Titans. Well, he says, I can't do this anymore. Almost like the Roberto demand, no mas, right? I don't want it. I can't do it. So after years, he says, well, I'm not getting paid. Maybe he ran out of money. I don't know. So now he goes and hires Lee Steinberg, who is going to be a guest on the Sports Circus on NBC Sports Radio in about 3 weeks. Now, if you don't know anything about Lee, Lee is the Godzilla of sports agents. In fact, the movie, as I understand it, Jerry Maguire was actually based on Lee Steinberg. So Lee is going to be one of our guests in a few weeks. That's going to be a fun show. We have a lot of questions for him. But he's representing Vince Young. And so there were no takers in the NFL for Vince Young, so they shipped him off to Canada to play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the CFL. And I mentioned the CFL because another link back to the Sports Circus, because in 1 week, a week from tomorrow, we have current wide receiver and kick returner, punt returner, Marco Iannuzzi from the BC Lions. Really smart guy. He's one of those Harvard and MIT guys, not a Duke guy. That's okay. We'll give him a little break for that. But nonetheless, no, very smart guy, good player, and a Grey Cup champion, which is their version of the Super Bowl. So he'll be on in a week. Tomorrow, Carl Mecklenburg is going to be on our show from the Denver Broncos. Okay, now, I have no idea what has happened today in the free agent market or this weekend. We'll pick up on that next week. We're going to shift over to the NCAA at this point because now there is a lot going on. And that's another reason we have Alicia with us today, because not only is she a part of that whole, we'll call it a circus because it sort of is a circus, but she's also ambassador for the Women's Final Four. Alicia, tell everybody about that.
Yeah, so the 2017 women's NCAA ambassador representing women's basketball. So I'm having the opportunity to go out and promote the Women's Final Four coming to Dallas, Texas. Being from Texas, born and raised, and a Texas athlete statewide. Having the opportunity just to share the sport, have people come in, have a great weekend, a lot of events going on. So I'm going into schools, speaking to kids, doing reading events, speaking events, so just enjoying that, promoting the Final Four.
Now, you're also in the Texas Tech Athletic Hall of Fame, is that not correct?
That is correct. I was inducted in 2008. I was inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame, and that's just for athletes in all sports, football, baseball, softball, you name it. You had to be that top player in that sport. You're actually nominated and voted by your peers, and that's alumni playing from the 60s, 50s, 40s, all the way through up to current players who vote the specific players into the Hall of Fame.
So what sports besides basketball did you play at Texas Tech?
I was a track and field athlete. I threw the shot put and discus. I threw it 1 year. I got a little bit more involved in basketball, just trying to juggle athletics and sports, and it was just a lot on my plate, and I really wanted to focus on the academics as well. So I ended up just throwing my first year, and it was a great opportunity. Track coach was awesome. But yes, I still, like I said the other day, I still love to throw, coached it in high school, still hold the Texas 3A state record. So I was able to do some things. I was a 4-time state champion in the shot put. And then I won also in the discus my senior year. So 1 year in the discus and 4 years in the shot.
Wow. So you're bored on a Saturday afternoon, so you're just going to go out and throw the discus? How does that work?
I might.
Right? Like, well, sorry, kids, step aside. Let a champion in. And do you have your Hall of Fame banner that kind of sits over your head? So when you're throwing it, it's like a halo. It says Hall of Fame and all that stuff over you.
My plates say HOF, Hall of Fame or not.
That's hilarious. So, do you participate still with the university on any level to maybe serve as mentorship or anything for any of the student athletes at Texas Tech, or you just washed your hands and moved on?
Since being there, since leaving there, I had the opportunity to go back once as a volunteer in the strength and conditioning program. Since leaving basketball, I've been into sports performance training and athletic training. So trying to get into strength and conditioning. So I had an opportunity to go back there then. And then recently I was there as a part of Flow Performance Training and Wellness, which is my personal business, my partner's personal business. And so we went in and worked with the women's basketball team, the Texas Tech Lady Raiders, which was just an amazing opportunity to be able to work and share with those girls some of the techniques that we used as a part of our business when I was coaching at Lubbock High School. And with these techniques, we were able to take a team that had never won more than 3 games. I don't think, or the last time that has been many years ago, never making the playoffs, just kind of the bad news bear, so to speak. We went to the playoffs for the first time. in basketball history.
Okay.
So we were able to do a lot of amazing things with the team through my business flow performance training. So that's what we do. We work with basketball teams.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to pick that up in just about a minute here on the Sports Circus Friday edition.